Hello and welcome to this training on self-doubt. I'm so glad that you're joining me for this. My name is Christine Dostie and I am the CEO of Sacred Vitality and the founder of the Sacred Mindset Method. So let's talk about self-doubt. Self-doubt. Oh, let's turn that down. That's no good. So self-doubt, it is the opposite of confidence, and it basically equates to a decision not to try. Now, you may not be feeling like you're making a decision per se. Maybe it even feels more like a paralysis, but it is a decision and it is a habit, and we're here to talk about it because luckily it can be changed. So that's amazing. I am going to be looking for comments, so in case you see me looking off, that's what I'm checking for. Okay, so how does this happen? Well, basically, the brain is wired to protect you from anything that it deems risky or a threat. And uncertainty can be deemed risky and threatening because it can result in discomfort, embarrassment, failure, and yes, even sometimes success. So the brain attempts to distract you with overthinking, resistance, and avoidant behaviors. This creates self-doubt, in which when you have a decision to make, all the doubting feelings come in, and then you get into the self-doubt triggers, which will cause you to hesitate and not make the decision. So either you don't make a decision at all, or you're making a decision that might be loaded with doubt and distrust. And this, of course, causes your self-confidence to plummet. This loop can become the habit of how you approach all the decisions in your life, which is why we want to address it today. Because this may cause you to defer your authority to others, because in the moment it seems less scary to let others make the decisions for you. But over the long run, this is actually contributing to the depletion of your self-confidence because you're giving your power away. And it creates a deep distrust and anxiety of stress within. So we definitely want to change it, right? In my program, the Sacred Mindset Method, I work closely with my clients to provide the skill set that is needed in order to take actions with confidence and trust. The empowering position increases not only your confidence, but your joy that you're experiencing in your life. Because our natural state is to be able to discern what is in our own best and highest good. This is how you set yourself up for success. The mindset that helps you lean into joy and away from fear. So I cannot stress enough how important it is to have confidence in your ability to make choices for yourself. To feel confident in your authority and power, because every single day you wake up, you are choosing the life you are living. Whether you are choosing to be an employee or the CEO of your life, you're still choosing. So it's really important. And if you are making choices and you're not getting the results that you want, it's not the desire that you want, you're losing confidence, you're not feeling good about yourself, you're getting down on yourself, you're giving into the self-doubt triggers, then that's when you want to upgrade your skills, because there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm just going to say that again. There's nothing wrong with you. You simply need to bring awareness to what's not working for you and upgrade your skills and your mindset so that you can envision the life that you want and execute certain action steps to get you into the life that you want. It is not about you. You're not broken. You're not worthy. I know a lot of those things come up. They certainly used to come up for me, but that's not what's going on. It's about skill set. So let's take a moment and look at the 4 self-triggers that we're going to talk about today. The first one is hesitation. And this is triggered by uncertainty. It looks a lot like waiting, overthinking, even perfectionism, and it can be generally characterized as being busy, like busy all the time, cannot stop yourself. You're also probably telling yourself stories about everything that could go wrong. You're not putting something out into the world because it's not perfect. You make plans, but you don't act on them. And definitely you're staying busy with all sorts of avoidance mechanisms to avoid dealing with whatever it is that you're not trying to deal with and the decision that you're not trying to make. This used to happen to me a lot back in the day. I would get into all sorts of avoidance mechanisms, doing the laundry, having all the chores to do, especially if I was fighting with my partner and we needed to have like a challenging conversation, and I super did not want to have the conversation. So everything would be more important, and I would always have more things to do, and I would always be busy just so I could not have the conversation. But that does not help you, and that is not helpful. So what can you do about this one with the hesitation? Well, the first thing is to assess areas of your life. So what is causing you to hesitate? What is it that you do when you're hesitating? Is it TV? Is it wine? Is it talking to the kids instead of the spouse? You know, what is it you're doing? And which one of these things is sounding like you? Is it about like not wanting to put something out until it's perfect? Is this about, you know, not making plans, or, you know, making plans but then not following through with them? So just know which area of your life is being affected by this hesitation. And also consider, what is the story that you're telling yourself in the moment? What are you saying to reason or justify yourself getting out of what it is that you need to do? And what is it that you tend to overthink about or obsess about or feel like you need to be perfect in? So bringing awareness into those situations is a first good beginning. The next doubt that we're going to talk about is hiding. This one is often triggered by the fears of what others will react, how they will react to you, and just basic overwhelm, feeling overwhelmed by like life. It looks a lot like avoiding in general, certainly procrastinating. There's a lot of shrinking back, staying behind the scenes, playing small, and is generally characterized by being quiet. If you're suffering from hiding, then it might be the case where you think that you have these big dreams of things that you want to do, but then you almost immediately feel paralyzed by how big it is, and so you like step back and don't make any plans and you don't lean into it at all. It can also look like you are unable to stand up for yourself or ask for what you want or need, or you will not ask for help. You might even have like a physical body posture that is slumped and in a protective mode, or a lot of the arms crossed to kind of keep yourself in this protective stance. Other things is that you might hold yourself back from saying and doing certain things because you don't want to put others out. You shrink back from opportunities and settle for playing small. And there's a lot here about being afraid of being judged, looking like a fool, and disappointing or upsetting others. I can say certainly I have a lot of moms that I work with that this one is a big one. They have gotten into the habit of hiding, of putting the kids first, of not wanting to ask the partner for any assistance or help, and feeling like, you know, they're the ones that have to show up and do it. So this one is, I see a lot of people struggling with the hiding, the being quiet, and the playing small. So here you want to look at, you know, where are you hiding or procrastinating in your life? And I don't mean in general, I mean get specific. Are there certain situations that you're hiding? Is there an issue that's going on in your life right now with a coworker, with an in-law, with your own spouse that you are not speaking up about? and you don't necessarily agree with it, but you're not saying anything. And if there is something like that, can you catch yourself and in that moment ask yourself, what is the fear that's actually blocking you? You know, are you really worried of making a fool of yourself or disappointing other people? And if that is what is holding you back, then I would like you to ask yourself even a further question of, why does it matter so much? How is you stepping up and in being into your own power causing you such distress that you feel like you would be intimidating to other people? Because that's a belief that needs to be healed for you. Because you just keep pulling it apart, right? Like, what is it that is actually the issue? And does it really matter, like, truly that you don't want to insult someone or that you can't frame yourself in a kind, gentle way? Or is it just a default reaction of perhaps a belief you were raised on about how you should be? You know, when I was little, my mom always gave the story, you know, children should be seen and not heard. And that was something that was said regularly, and everyone acted like that was okay. But is it okay? Because children who should be seen and not heard can oftentimes grow up into adults who feel like they can be seen but should not be heard. So we really have to take some time and dive into these beliefs and see if they belong to us or if we inherited them from someone else. So then the next thing with that one then would be, well, what else? Now I want you to flip that belief. So if you've looked at it and you're like, I don't like it, I'm going to flip it. And what do I mean by flip it? Well, just think about the opposite. What is it that you do actually want? What is the big dream that you have for your life that may be causing you overwhelm? And if it is that it's so big, then how can you break it down into more manageable steps and more manageable pieces, like 5 to 10 smaller goals, and then work backwards again until you're just getting down to one action step or one thing that you're going to do? Because perhaps the big thing is too far out of your comfort zone and seems too far away and completely unachievable. But that is really just a trick of your mind. So we can play a trick back on your mind by breaking it down into smaller actionable steps. Something that seems reasonable, something that seems doable, something that allows you to step out of your comfort zone just enough to embrace this dream that you want to have, but not so much that it paralyzes you, right, with the overwhelm. So the next one, the third one that we're going to look at is the doubt of being hypercritical. This doubt is usually triggered by a fear of being hurt, disappointed, or failing, possibly even succeeding sometimes. It looks like you're arguing with yourself, you're certainly being self-critical, you're complaining, and is generally characterized by being negative. So if you're suffering from this one, then you're looking for and focusing on the flaws. You're focusing on why you can't do something. You're fixating on what could go wrong. And I'm also curious, drop a comment below if any of these have spoke to you so far, you know, if the hiding or the hesitation or this hypercritical one is speaking to you, which one do you fall victim to more often? Drop a comment, let me know. So as I was saying, this one is a lot about focusing and fixating on what could go wrong, why you can't do something. You might argue and rationalize and reason yourself and the situation to death, trying to prove that you're right. And what you're trying to prove is really why you can't step up to the situation, really. And it's also about knowing what you need to do, but you also have every single excuse about why it won't work for you, why you've tried it and it doesn't work, why it's failed in the past, why no, 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 and you just shut it down at every turn. Because on some level, you might actually be believing that you can't and it's not possible. So here's some stuff to help with that one is to really get like a detective and look into what is it that you tend to make excuses about. I mean, yeah, none of us wants to do the laundry, and house chores are annoying, and so we might make excuses and get out of those. But what are other things? Like if you're not showing up to see your friends, if you're bowing out of opportunities that are being presented to you, if someone wants you to do a live or a reel or show up in a way that might be scary, are you finding a reason like, I'm not good with technology, I'm too old for that, I'm a girl, so that's not really what I do? Like, these are the excuses that I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that should make you go, oh, wait a minute. Am I actually believing that's true, or is this a trick of my mind trying to talk myself out of the fear and the discomfort that I'm feeling in this moment? Because that fear and discomfort, it truly actually is where we want to be. You can't grow and stay comfortable at the same time. So if you want to grow and experience new things, you really got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know, like, don't paralyze yourself with fear, of course, but to a certain extent, you got to be okay to trying something new and having that moment of braveness, right? Okay, so another good thing here is that you can really decide to eliminate the excuses. You can do something like, okay, I'm going to decide I'm going to commit to this for a certain amount of time, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, so that you can actually give yourself time to prove yourself wrong or prove yourself right. But if you've preemptively decided that you can't for blah, 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 blah reasons, you'll actually never know if that's true or not. So give yourself a window. Okay, I'm going to try this for 3 days. Okay, I'm going to try this for a week. Something that's long enough that gives you measurable information to work with. And then from there, decide if it's actually working or not. Okay, the last doubt that we're going to talk about today is helplessness. This is another one I see a lot of in a lot of women. This is triggered by insecurity and low self-worth. It's really actually the fear of success. It looks a lot like playing the victim, blaming, lack of self-trust, dependency, generally a defeatist attitude, and is often characterized by looking for pity. If you're suffering from helplessness, you might think that nothing goes my way. You might be apt to blame others and the outside world for what is happening in your life. You also will have a lot of excuses, like every excuse. And you do actually love to play the poor me card. And the reason you play the poor me card so often is because it generally will get you sympathy from other people and get them to help you out. So there's benefit in it for you because it works. It's a tactic that works for you. It's not a good tactic, but it's a tactic that works. And when we find something that works, we often tend to stick with it. But this tactic causes you to be overly dependent on others. It also can get you feeling like the world owes you something. It will definitely get you feeling like you're incompetent or that you can't even handle your own problems. So you do always want others to jump in and help you out. And the biggest, I was going to say deroding, but that's it's not actually a word. The biggest eroding effect of this one is the lack of self-trust. Like, you start to believe that you don't have it and you can't do it on your own. And you might often be unwilling to be vulnerable, and that is where that fear of success actually is playing into this, because on some level, possibly very deep down, you are afraid that if you do succeed, well, what happens to the love and support that you were getting from everybody when you're in poor pity me state? So there's that fear of change, because if I change, maybe people won't like the new me. Maybe I won't like the new me. Maybe this will happen or that will happen. And as soon as you start down that road, well, now it's not too long until you get on the excuse bus and then, you're out. So better not to do anything at all, right? And the other kind of insidious part about this helplessness one is that you are acting like you're giving away your control to other people, and you are. But at the same time, you're also kind of being manipulative because of your perceived neediness. And you can get in, see, real easy here to slip into intimidation and coercion to get what you want, because there's an element of desperation of I'm not getting what I need, right? So I need people to do this for me, and I need people to do that for me. So it's a really tricky one. Also, this one might trigger anger, which we deal with a lot in my group. And this anger can be a source of like you're being expected to be responsible and to have self-approving methods for yourself, right? But that triggers old unhealed wounds about perhaps lack of approval or lack of attention from when you were a kid and it wasn't dealt with then and you didn't let go of it yet. And so now you're being forced to stand up in your life and be responsible and be self-approving, and you don't really know how to do it, and that inner child gets mad. Like, it will get mad. I noticed that actually happened with me once I had kids. So if you know anything about my story, my mom has MS, and when I was 10, my childhood completely changed, and I had to become her arms and legs. And there was a lot of helpless feeling around that. And so when I grew up and didn't really deal with all that stuff yet, and I had kids, I got really angry about a lot of things because I didn't want to have to take on even more responsibility and be that strong and have to approve of myself all the time and be the own source of my power. Basically, I wanted someone else to take care of me and make it easier for me because I had been working so hard all my life, and when was it my turn, and blah, 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 and all the things started. So this helplessness one, it gets in deep, and it can be very, very tricky. But once you heal from it, it feels so much better, I can tell you that. So how to start looking for that and bring awareness to it is, again, look at what areas of your life are causing you to feel helpless. Who do you act helpless around? That's another one, because you'll find that it will be some people where you can get away with it, whereas other people you cannot. And do you gravitate to the people that you can get away from it with? Some things to think about. And what are you afraid that you might lose if you were more self-sufficient or took more responsibility for yourself? Are there things you're afraid you might lose? I'm guaranteeing you that once you notice these areas and see how the opposite is actually true, that you'll receive more love and more appreciation from others when you become more self-reliant and more able to take personal responsibility for your doubts and fears and your ability to make decisions. Once you feel more empowered, you just feel stronger and more able to step up in the world, and people admire that, right? They're not always there to pick you. I mean, they are there to pick you up, but not every single time, right? At some point, you gotta learn to do it for yourself. So that again leads to the next question: how can you take more responsibility for your life and your choices? Start to think about this. Really look at your life and see the life that you're creating as it's being built around the helplessness, and how you're constantly giving your power away. And ask yourself, what's this life going to look like in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years? Am I really getting what I want out of this kind of life? And if not, well, then that's again where we want to start to think about what it is that you do want. So flip that and think about where you want this to go, right? So in each of these cases, each of the 4 areas of self-doubts, First, you want to do an assessment, of course, and get into like detective mode. And then you want to get really like a clear vision of yourself and your future and see it through the lens of self-love. To realize that who you are now isn't going to get you to where and who you want to become. And how you want and need to change cannot become clear if you don't have a vision of where you're going and what kind of life it is that you want to have and create. So we got to start with the vision and getting clarity on where you're at, and then where it is that you want to go so that you can close that gap. So you can't get better if you can't conceptualize what better looks like. And you can't conceptualize what better looks like if you're stuck in stress mode. Because the area of your brain that allows you to access the imagination and the visualization, it actually doesn't function properly while you're in the stress state. That's your lower limbic brain, and we want to get into the higher prefrontal cortex brain. And if you're suffering from any of these self-doubt triggers, chances are really good that you're operating in what I used to operate in, which is a continuous low-grade state of stress. So the default is in that lower brain. And it's hard to release the stress while you're stuck in fear. So 2 options are available to you. One is make a plan and consciously take a series of small action steps that lead you away from the fear and toward what it is that you want to do. Or take one massive action step to shake the brain out of the stress and fear and get the system moving towards the better that you want. It's like 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, courage, and do it, right? Like one massive step. And again, this is exactly what we work on my program in the Sacred Mindset Method. The trick is to change the mindset model, the programming, the reactions, the beliefs, and to really start to envision what's possible in your life and really get clarity on the perceptions that you are currently operating under. Because truthfully, you can have all the tips and strategies you want, but if your brain is not right, it is not going to matter. You will block and sabotage yourself from reaching your goals, and you will constantly fall victim to these self-doubt triggers. So, to recap, if you are experiencing being busy, quiet, negative, or looking for pity in areas of your life, then these are the points where you want to start diving deeper into what's going on inside. Evaluate so that you can begin to heal the mental framework that is causing you to give your power away and create, probably, I'm guessing, unhealthy boundaries in your life. So if you're not feeling like you're getting your needs met, those are boundaries being broken. And you can't create the boundaries if you don't, again, know what your vision is and know what the values are that are anchoring you to your vision. If you're anchored to self-doubt and fears, then that's going to affect everything that goes outward in your life. So you go back down into the core and get into the core values, the dream that you have, the joy that you want to feel in every day, and then we work out the choices that you have to make in order to get yourself there. And this is really about a skill set, okay? So creating healthier habits and then getting consistent in supporting those habits and those choices. And this will also help you create healthier habits to respond to the stress and the decisions and all the things. So get strategic about it. After you've assessed what areas of your life need some work, map out what's working, what's not working. And the stuff that's not working, that's the stuff, that's where you begin. That's where you go back and you start asking those questions and you start envisioning what would look better, and you start making an action plan of how to move the needle from where you are to where you want to be. Of course, all of this is possible to do by yourself, but it does go much faster with a proven system. And support is huge. That helps you think through all these outcomes will help you think from a place not of fear, but of joy and love and what you want to achieve. And you can learn all these skills and strategies on your own to develop a healthy mindset free of the self-doubt traps, because that is how you set yourself up for success. But you can also do it in a program like the one I offer with the Sacred Mindset Method, which will just get you the results faster. So if you want to fast track your results, feel free to book a call with me. I'll drop the link in the comments below, and we will get you clarity on the gaps in your skill set and what goals you need or what goals you want to work on to move you toward the life you want to create. Because having clarity on that alone can make a huge difference, and it's a free call. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found this really helpful, and I will be back next time with some more training. Have a great night. I'll see you soon.